Pushkin.
I'm excited today to share a conversation with my friend Chrystia Cabral, also known as Spelling. I've known Spelling since before she started making music a bit over a decade ago, and I'll never forget when I first heard some of the songs that became her sophomore album, The Turning Wheel. It blew me away. For this friend who I've known for so long to just be casually demoing these beautiful songs with such a gorgeous voice, I was astonished. Mind you, that album got a rare perfect 10 rating from Anthony Fantano. Her latest album, Portrait of My Heart, sees Spelling taking yet another leap, pushing her avant-garde, pop, and even rock sensibilities to another level, adding new dimensions to the mysticism and drama imbued in her music. Today, Spelling opens up about her journey from teaching to touring, what it means to build a sonic universe where every detail is intentional, and the early days of her musical journey when she was just getting started. This is Broken Record. Real musicians, real conversations. Here's my conversation with Spelling.
We should talk about the new album because there's a lot more guitar, and then as the album progresses, there gets to be even more guitar.
Yeah.
It's really cool, but it was shocking. But maybe before we get to talking about the guitar, just what was the genesis of your new album?
The genesis, I mean, it's the same kind of approach I always take, which is I'm just channeling my mood. And I felt as though what I noticed after putting out The Turning Wheel and touring a little bit and just kind of, that felt like this turning point in my life where this is what I'm doing with my life kind of a thing. Whereas before I was just experimenting a lot and I didn't imagine my day-to-day being oriented around making music or performing music really until post Turning Wheel. And there's a lot of variables to that. I think I'm in my 30s. Like, I didn't really actually activate this craft until I was in my mid-20s, you know? So there was this, I felt like I'd already gone through this evolution in my life where I felt like I know who I am, you know, I have this sense of self and confidence that's not rooted in being a musician. So, you know, going through that, putting out the album, getting like an amazing amount of support for it and growing my audience and all of that. And I just was like, whoa, I feel like I'm having this second sort of adolescence in my life where I'm like, once again, being shaken up, like having an identity crisis almost, like, who am I now? And how does this change my life path and all of those things? And just insecurities coming up I just never thought I'd have to encounter again. Like, I already went through this as a teenager, just being like, what does it mean to, like, you know, my image, my relationships and my romantic connections, my friendships, all of that started to kind of get reoriented around now pursuing this thing like full force and full-heartedly. And so Portrait of My Heart, a lot of those songs are just like, stepping back into that sort of adolescent space of like, oh man, just like a restlessness, a sort of angst, a lot of grasping and questioning at those sort of things that I just already thought I had figured out.
Would you say the songs to you are more questioning and reaching than your last record?
Just in a different scale. And I think prior to this, I had a lot of comfort in my home space, and I, you know, had my like spiritual practices and routines. Like, I meditate, I spend time in nature, and like I was channeling from there, like my interests in like, you know, occult arts and magic and spirituality and cosmology, like all of that stuff. Like, I spent a lot of time reading and researching and just writing, and so I would draw from that, like. And I think things were, you know, there's songs on Turning Wheel that are very much about like love and romance and connection, but kind of more pointed in this like cosmic scale. Love as in like universal love, or, you know, like love as in cosmic love and that kind of analogy. But with Portrait of My Heart, it's more one-to-one. It's more just like Tia and real life situations and like personal affairs and my own matters of the heart. So yeah, it's a big shift. And now that I'm talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, this is about to come out and this is like my life. And it's a little weird. It's like way more vulnerable.
Wow. It's interesting because I would have thought the opposite. Not that, I mean, both seem very sincere, but I would have thought that Turning Wheel was more directly to do with your everyday life and sort of more, maybe more actually a portrait of your heart than this one. But I guess that's why you titled this one.
It's all interlaced too, you know, like it's just kind of what I was describing as being on a different scale. But yeah, they're both, I think the through line is intimacy. I think that's a big theme on all the things that I make is like intimacy with the self and with relationship or connection to spirit, and those kinds of things are carrying through since Pantheon of Me and into Portrait of My Heart as well.
Since you talked about like having different practices, whether it's meditation or just kind of communing with nature, is music another version of that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of feels like for me, it was the big piece of like, oh, I found where I can really direct my purpose and feel like I can direct my like particular gifts and talents in the right way. And so music is that for me. And that's kind of like my big take on spirituality in general is just what can you do to, you know, elevate your like best abilities and, you know, make an impact. I struggle with connecting to people, even though I want to. And I think that music kind of like always helps me to bridge that. Like it's the thing that connects me to all my relationships and friendships, even my family. Like
how does that like play out in your life? How does that look in your life?
I mean, it's really simple, just sending songs back and forth with friends. It feels like I can know you so well just by that, you know. And my dad and our relationship is really been kind of glued together through music. And, you know, he'll send me YouTube videos back and forth throughout the week. That's kind of like how we mostly communicate is like through songs. And I don't know, I think like knowing what someone loves or what speaks to them is so special, and it just accesses something you couldn't really describe really with words ever. And that's how I feel about just like speaking in general too. Like I have such a hard time like saying what I mean and how I feel, but I can do it with music. And
when I first met you, you were a writer.
Yeah,
is how in my mind.
Yeah.
So when it comes to writing, though, you're able to organize and your thoughts and sort of clearly get out what you're trying to say.
Better than like conversation, for sure. Okay. But even then, it's not as immediate. Like music just is like something that's just so immediate, and it doesn't need like a translation for me. Like I just feel like I can just act as a conduit. And yeah, I started off with writing. You know, you saw me doing poetry workshops and stuff like that. And that was what really launched me into making music. From there, it was like, oh, poetry is this other like vein of music where you can say a lot with just a few things and have all these multiple meanings in just a couple words. And so I was playing around with that, and then got a loop pedal.
You were good too, by the way. Don't write. You were good.
That's all right.
You're a good writer.
I think I cringe thinking about that chapter of my life. I think we don't need people digging into that.
But that was the first time I ever met you. Do you remember meeting?
Yeah, at a workshop. Mm-hmm. Or was that a performance?
No, it was not at a workshop. We were on like Telegraph.
Oh no.
And you were, I think, just leaving a workshop. And I had walked from like downtown Oakland.
On foot. He was on foot.
I was hoofing it. Just like, I was like, okay, a bus. I was like waiting for a bus. It was taking forever. I was like, well, I'm going to start walking, and a bus will eventually come. I don't know how long. I walked forever. And then finally a bus came, and you came up, a couple different other people.
Yeah. A couple other poets.
Telegraph Avenue. Very casually, a couple of the poets materialized. And we rode the bus together. And that was I remember that was the first time we were like, yeah, we just came from this. You like we were so over there at this poetry.
Yeah. Oh man, what a time.
Yeah.
It really felt like serendipitous, the friends I made along that journey, like being at UC Berkeley, and really just like romanticizing walking around Telegraph Avenue, just like
You were doing it.
my little journal. Yeah.
But never did, it's funny, like you say, you feel now almost like you're reaching a second adolescence. It's like, I can relate because I feel younger in a way than I ever did. Because back then I felt like old. I felt like, or like I was like, like I
You
was
do have
late.
a timeless quality to you. I feel like you're like, you could jump back and forth and.
Thank you. I'll accept that. I'd never considered that for myself, but maybe that's the truth. But like then I felt like I was like running out of time. Like I don't know how to explain that, but I was like, and I remember when you picked up, I think you were about to say you started picking up some loop pedals and stuff. I remember you getting music equipment.
Yeah.
And I remember like looking at you and just being like, aren't we too old for this shit?
Yeah.
Like,
I remember this conversation. I feel like we were talking about, I was like, I think I'm going to start doing this. And
yeah, you're like, I'm about to learn. I'm like, you got like a key. You were so excited. You got
Yeah.
a keyboard and like all this time. I'm like, and I think, somewhere, I think, I probably would have loved to have done the same thing around the time. I remember just looking at you and be like,
you're trying to take me down. Aren't we a little
I'm
bit too old?
I was trying to bring you down with me. I'm like, I think we're like too old for this shit. Like, what are you
Secretly,
doing?
you're on eBay afterwards. Like, let me see if I can. Yeah.
But it blew me
I
away
mean-
because like it's like you started doing that, and then like pretty quickly the music you were making was like.
I mean, I'm glad that it was quick because I didn't have time to waste. Like if it
Apparently
wasn't
not.
sorted out within the next few years, then what? No, I mean, I think I've always had the mentality of feeling like a late bloomer, feeling like my pace is like a little bit behind everybody else. So good thing I wasn't in that frame of mind where
I'm glad you
like
weren't too.
I wasn't running. I was like, this is happening, and I'm doing it, and. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of questioning right at that point in my life. Now there is. Now there's a lot more of like, what's to come and what's next, and I have to actively work to like cast those thoughts away. But yeah, I'm curious. Why do you feel like you feel like younger than you have previously? You feel like it's about sort of having some security that.
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it's something to do with, I don't know, that feeling of running out of time has gone away. Like I feel like I have
Coasting.
so I don't know. No, I don't know about coasting as much as I hope I'm not. Maybe I hope not though. No, but I just feel like I have more time than ever. Which is so I have like the complete opposite feeling. Whereas then I felt like there was no time, and I was late.
Yeah.
And like now I'm like, oh, there's nothing.
You're trying to
but
catch
time.
that bus.
Yeah, I was just trying to catch that bus exactly. But now I guess maybe now I'm on the bus. And I'm like, yo, there's nothing but time, and so it's just that it's just a feeling. I don't know if it's even like a real thing. I mean,
I think that's a real that thing that can manifest physically though. Like I feel like you can pause or slow down time depending on your perspective and mentality. It's like it stretches and it contracts and it condenses, like depending on all of those things. But like you're time traveling different than I am and everybody else. It's an interesting sensation. I feel like time is just like rapidly going by so fast. Like I feel like I'm constantly running out of time right
we
now.
have totally switched positions. So what changed?
Switch back.
What changed for you? Because it's like I don't know. I've never like I hesitate to say that like you've clearly hit your stride because like I've always thought of you as a person who was like top tier at like whatever you were doing. I always feel like you were doing it well. So I feel like you've kind of always been in your stride. So I don't mean it that way.
Competitive. I gotta at least give that impression, even if I'm not.
Nah, I believe you are secretly competitive. But no, but you've clearly like carved out like a really nice space for yourself. So why do you feel like now you're feeling?
I mean, it's more of like a sentimentality thing. Like I don't want it to go away. Like I want it to last longer. So maybe it's actively thinking about that can speed up things. I think there's this resistance is an interesting principle where it's like, yeah, the more you are resistant to something, the more it pushes back against you. So I think me being like, I want to dwell in this moment for as long as I can and like kind of like almost like feeling like mourning that this time is going to not last forever. That makes it go by quicker.
Yeah.
So it's just like you got to practice. I try to remind myself to practice like more presence, and everything runs its course in certain ways. And who knows? Like, I mean, this is a current that I'm in right now, but there's so many other creative like potentials for the future. And like I didn't see this coming for myself. Like at that time when we were talking about music, I was just like, I'm just gonna get some keyboards and mess around. I didn't see this as where I would be at all. So who knows what's next in 10 years.
Yeah. Is this feeling where like a keep it alive comes from?
Oh yeah.
A song?
Yeah.
A song?
Yeah, exactly. That track makes me anxious to listen to. I enjoy it, but yeah, that's definitely the quality in it, is trying to just stay ahead and outpace the responsibilities and inevitable endings. It's kind of the vibe on that one.
Do you remember sitting down to write that?
I remember that strangely, a lot of times the songs that I end up making are versions of other songs that people might never make the connection to. Like I was listening to, it's like an 80s Marvin Gaye album, and there's the opening of it, the strings on it are doing something really weird, and I kind of ripped the string line a little bit from this track, and it created this sense of like chaos. But in his version, of course, it's like super dreamy and romantic and like lush. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to kind of borrow this like chord change and put it in this context, and it's going to sound super hectic.
Was it the Sexual Healing album?
No, it's Dream of a Lifetime. So it's Madness. You know that one?
No, I don't know that one.
You should listen to it now. I'm wondering if you would relate it at all. But
probably not, because I didn't hear any Marvin on this. But I mean, that's kind of the cool. That's why that's a really cool approach to making something, because it's like it's kind of like it's like sampling in a way. Like it's like taking something from something that you really like and then making it work for you.
Yeah, and the song, like the lyrics, it's like he's saying. It's called It's Madness. So he's kind of dealing with, I think, similar ideas with it, where it's like time running out and like sort of like living in a cyclone in your mind. And he's like, oh, where is my mind? And he's like, it's an interesting and weird song where it's like super dreamy and beautiful, but then the lyrics are kind of dark. And yeah.
Well, Marvin's case, he really was running out of time too, which is the eerie thing.
Yeah.
But like I wonder, like with him, you could go to also like a guy like Tupac, obviously too, right? He's always like rapping about his own death, and and it's like
prophetic, yeah.
Like, was it prophetic, or did you make it real?
Yeah.
So I just
think
wonder
about, like,
sometimes.
Jeff Buckley too.
Jeff Buckley.
I've been spending a lot of time listening to Grace. That was a sort of entry point into like, how am I going to shape the sounds on Portrait of My Heart too? And thinking about his, like, it kind of sounds like sometimes when he's singing, he can sense or like perceive running out of time. And there's that like almost desperate quality to his voice that makes it so good. Wow, yeah.
I wonder though, like how much of that is like perceiving truth, the reality, or how much of that is just like people reading signals wrong, or just like I don't know, like
or sabotage, self-sabotage,
like
yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like I always reference that like meme of the cartoons on the bus, like one's looking at the window all happy looking and the other one's like sad, and it's like it'll say the same thing. Like I just saw it yesterday, and it's like, I don't understand David Lynch, and it's like someone looking at the window looking all happy, and then the sad person's like, I don't understand David Lynch, and it's like it's just like, yeah, like I'm running out of time. Like I could be really depressed about that, or I'm running out of time. Like, things are just gonna happen, and you can like, it can be to your empowerment to see it that way.
Sure, I guess. I don't like that.
You're like, no.
I don't know.
I don't know. Next topic.
I don't know if I can find the framing of that to be I mean, it might be. Maybe that's my limited perspective.
Time is a construct.
That might be my, my hang up. I'm not sure. But I know what that feeling is, and I so much prefer not to be in that mode.
Yeah. You're right.
Because it can be limiting in its own way, like again, like where you were when you started this music thing is like, certainly you were not in that space, and that allowed you to, just be more improvisational. Like, I want to get this keyboard and mess around, and then you just never know when you're improvising in life, like what that can lead to, and that's living more in that space. To me, even though, like, again, you listen to Mark, and that guy, he's so tortured, and the music is so beautiful, but I just prefer. It just seems like life is better when you're allowing yourself the leeway to try things and not feel like, oh, I have to do this because there's not I don't have enough time. I got to do this now. Or, I know.
I think going forward, a lot of conversations and like some album interviews I've been doing, the more I talk about the like journey and the origins of this project and where it's headed, I feel as though like I have to continue to nourish the things that feed that and fuel that, because it's got me to this place. And the more I try to like play by the book or follow in this sort of industry standard, it's gonna strip away more than it's gonna add. And I don't necessarily know what that will look like yet, but I think it's something that's just actively on my mind, and gonna start, looking for more opportunities to recreate kind of like the improvisational space you were describing, where it's like I'm not feeling pressured to or obligated to do things a certain way. And with Portrait of My Heart, I had to see it through. It was what was calling to me, and I'm really happy with how it all came together. But there is this, I can feel my intuition being like, what's next is stripping back again and kind of going back into like a solo approach and getting messier with my stuff, because I've gained a lot of technical skill and like, put the work in on like, oh, I know how to make the things I want, and they can somewhat match what ideas I have. I didn't have that when I was working on Pantheon. I was just like, Fruit Loop Studio free edition, like Audacity, just like record. I don't know how to fix that, so it's just going to be that way. And then, like, I don't know what I was doing at all. So,
but you didn't know, but it's not true. Like you managed to make something that felt right to you. At least I think, or it felt right to other people. I mean, that's a great project. So, but you've definitely gained like the ability to maybe be more precise.
Yeah, maybe being more precise, and just know more how to do things more efficiently, because I spent it took a long time to make things that I could do a lot quicker now. But I look forward to that. I want to just I have another set of songs that I was working on kind of alongside Portrait of My Heart, and decided to just go with the funnel those into the a little more pop sensibility album. But then the other stuff is like a lot more lo-fi and just more of like the witchy spelling origin stuff.
We'll be back with more from Spelling after this break.
Spelling as the the name you release stuff under, is that witchy in origin?
It's somewhat, sort of in the more of like, it was funny to me as a name. I liked that the word itself kind of made me think of like a creature, and I would like imagine myself as this little like elven creature named Spelling. And but it was just a reference to words, and like words as magic and incantation. And I think the early stuff I was making, like Crayola Church, it was like a lot of repetition, just a lot of like repeating words over and over until it felt like it's turning into some sort of hypnotic state. And that's where that comes from.
Is there any of that in your mind on the new project, in the new album? Like, is that still a part of what you're doing, or?
Somewhat. I mean, I think the biggest things I'm always inspired by are usually like books and literature, poetry. And so those influences are always there, even when I'm describing like, oh, these are like more just like matters of the heart and like situational like love stories and things like that. It's still very much being drawn from like a lot of like research and interest and that kind of stuff. And Portrait of My Heart was the first song that kind of opened up the floodgates for what was to come after with the rest of the album. And
That was the first song you wrote?
that was the first song I wrote, yeah. And I remember the line, the da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, like that came to me when I was on the piano, and I remember it sounding kind of like a halftime thing, like da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, like that, and very like slow. And I was like, this is cool. Like this is giving, I don't know what this is giving, but it's got something. And then I was frustrated with, like, I felt like it needed to be more aggressive. And I felt fresh. Like, I was like, I don't want to make another, like, long, slow, dramatic song. Like, I just want to switch it up. So then I started messing around with the drum machine. And when I had that, like, like that, and then I changed the way that the line came through. And then, yeah, the vibe of that whole track on my mind at the time was like, what's next? What's to come? Like feeling like I'm running out of time, all those things, and like feeling a lot of apprehension and self-doubt as far as like, God, being an artist, you're just like constantly thinking about yourself. Like, yeah. This kind of sucks. Like, I'm tired of this. Like, I'm tired of hearing my own voice. I'm tired of what I have to do next. And I just feeling like it's so selfish to be so self-absorbed, but that's what it takes to make the thing. So yeah, the song is kind of about that, and just feeling like, you're pursuing your art, pursuing your idea to this extreme where you're starting to like lose track of reality, lose track of what's important to you in your life, and things really just start to fade away, and you like live in a delusion. And a lot of times, like, to make the best things, you gotta like live in the delusion. And so I was fully living in that, and the lyrics came through like that, like lost, shattered in the dark, stranger in my head. It's like grappling with like the artist self and creating a kind of like a prison of your own imagination. Yeah.
I hadn't really thought about it that way, but it's like one of the great ironies of being an artist, I guess, is that you're constantly, I guess it's by nature it is a bit selfish, or maybe there's another way of thinking about it, but that definitely is, part of it.
I mean, it's a beautiful part of it too. And that's the song is kind of just questioning all those things. And I think the spiritual portion that comes in is like this feeling or sensation sometimes that I have. It's like my relationship with God, and feeling like God is the ultimate artist, and like has, placed certain like circumstances or situations for each individual life, and like what you push back or what you contribute towards it versus what you don't, how much of that is like your responsibility, and like almost even like as an artist, are you like challenging against like your nature and what God intended you to do? So that's kind of like,
I mean, so you feel like maybe God was not intending for you to be an artist?
Yeah. Or maybe that your gifts or abilities could be better placed through other things instead of this like...
Was it teaching that was the other thing
teaching
for you?
was another thing, yeah. I could see another life path where that was like where I like put my efforts and my gifts towards, or I don't know, like being a mother, or being like, these other roles, or these other roles in life that like I haven't necessarily chosen or haven't happened. So that was the crisis of that song.
Yeah, I don't know if like choosing. Yeah, I don't know. Just as like a parent now 3 times over, I don't know. I don't think I've ever chosen.
You were chosen.
Yeah, it was the other way. I was chosen. So I'm just sure when. It's funny. We always think about that as a good. When I talk to other people, I'm like, I don't know if I want. Like, I don't know if it's like so much up to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's so much up to any of us.
That's true. It's facts. Facts.
So
Yeah.
but it's interesting. I mean,
and it's not that I see it that way. It's just that kind of like those curiosities coming up, and yeah, I encountered some like weird poem that was talking about an artist as like a thief or like a sort of like a con artist, like, like portraying reality in a way that it's not and like taking your money for it, and it was just like a weird, funny, interesting concept to me, right? Where it's like an artist kind of demands a lot from you. They can, and there's this sort of like narcissism involved, and it's like their job is to like create a reality that's not reality and like sell you on it.
I'll say this is like that's a very Bay Area interpretation.
It's such a Bay Area thing.
An artist.
Yeah.
I'm living down here in LA, and it's like, that sounds normal to me. Take the money and run.
I know. That's why I need to move down here.
Yeah. But it's not like it's not a wrong interpretation, but or that certainly can seem true.
Yeah.
What other stuff were you reading or watching or listening to around the making of this?
I did a lot less of that. I mean, also for Portrait of My Heart, I had seen that movie, What Dreams May Come, and that also like inspired. It's with Robin Williams and Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it, and he's the angel.
I don't think I ever saw it, but I remember the movie.
It's freaky. That also lended into a lot of the like imagery in that song, because it's like his wife passes away and he's trying to like rescue her from hell.
Wow.
And he goes on this whole odyssey, and the way she was a painter in the movie, and so like her heaven, I think, is like all like watercolor painting, and it's like really beautiful. Like she moves through it, and it's like the trees are all rippling with paint and stuff. And so that was I had seen it a long time ago, and always was kind of freaked out by it. And it's a really intense movie, but it's also so beautiful. And I'd watched it again, and that kind of helped me with that song, Portrait of My Heart, and just like kind of like that theme in general of just like painting and other books like Mount Analog. That's a song based off that, and that's a book that I really enjoyed. I found it at
it's a book, Mount
Analog.
Oh, I didn't know that was a book.
Yeah,
I loved that title.
Yeah, I was just gonna call it Analog, but I'm glad I kept the mountain so anyone can like look it up and hopefully read it. I found it. There's this bookstore in Silver Lake called Stories, and one of the times I was out here, it was up on the shelf for like staff picks, and I was like, oh, it's like inspired Alejandro Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain, and so he was inspired by that book to make that movie. And
by Mount Analog?
Yeah.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's just like it's like an adventure story about a group of mountaineers that try to scale this mythic mountain that's supposed to exist somewhere, but it's like hidden from view, and you can only find it if you're coming with like a pure heart and intentions. And there's like weird mystical concepts in it that I really latched onto, and it tried to infuse in the song. And they're like sailing towards this mountain, so I'm sort of trying to create that, like there's like this noise starts and like grows all the way up till the end of the song. It's supposed to sound like waves. Tried to like set the scene that way.
Yeah. Your music can be so dense sometimes, like really cool ways. Like I don't mean that dense in the negative sense. I mean dense, like maybe lush is the word. But do things tend to start more simply, and then do they come to you sort of like with almost prearranged in a sense of like you kind of know all the different kinds of sounds you want in this thing?
I think that's more the case. Like I usually it's more about reeling back than like adding a bunch more. Like that's never really been a big struggle with me. as far as like arranging or writing a song. It was just like some people describe like they can't stop or they keep adding stuff or don't know when to stop. I feel like I always know when to stop. And usually I'm kind of stripping things back. Like that's kind of more the process. And some more than others. Like I think the most challenging track was Waterfall, where I played around with so many different versions and like tempos, and nothing felt quite right. And we landed somewhere that I'm happy with. That's my favorite song on the album. As long as it's capturing the core in a really authentic way, then I'm happy. And I kind of feel like the ornamentation of things can kind of be interchangeable.
What makes Waterfall your favorite song?
I think because it was such a puzzle to hack and like figure out, that it was just so satisfying once it really clicked, because I was kind of like, damn, am I going to compromise and just kind of put this out even though it doesn't feel 100% right? And I really didn't want to do that. And then at the last minute, it kind of fell together. And I was in Athens, Georgia, mixing the album with, like a couple days left, and I still didn't have the lyrics really figured out. I was like, we'll mix this song last and like hopefully something comes together. And I was driving home, and it's like that country South darkness that's like, ooh, like it's just, you feel it in your bones kind of a thing. And I was driving and listening to the demo and like started to get that like shivery feeling where it's like, ooh, I feel like kind of scared, but like also like dangerous right now. And I felt like this rush of like, I don't know, just like a flash of inspiration, and helped me figure out the lyrics on that. But it was amazing. There's always a story like that, like last minute, something's like you had to get to this point to finally be handed that. That's how I feel about that track, so it's a favorite. And also just the lyrics are super special to me. It's about losing somebody, and like I'd lost a friend of mine, David, who also inspired me to start making music. And so I had him in mind and was like thinking about him through this process and like kind of being like my like guiding angel through this whole experience of being an artist now. So the song's dedicated to him, and thinking about grief as just change, as a form of change. And
yeah. What happened to?
He died tragically, and he was hit by a muni bus, and it was like we were all like in our early 20s, like 22 at the time. This was at the Telegraph house that we were all living in, so he was one of my roommates. And wow. This is like a beautiful, flamboyant person who would just like bust into my room all the time and be like, let's go do stuff together. Yeah. So I moved into his room after he had passed, like months later. And that's when I started getting music equipment, because I was like, I feel him. I could feel him in the room. And wow. I feel like he would want me to be making stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. I wanted to, like, I always sing and like make things, but I didn't think my voice was strong. Like it was something that I didn't push it or try to like take it seriously. So yeah, I was like, this is just another tool for me when I started making music to like, you know, just kind of like the like producer who also makes music sort of thing, where the voice is just being utilized, hopefully like as another instrument. But it wasn't something like where I came in as like, I'm a singer. And then, you know, I feel a lot more confident in my voice now. It's grown on me. But yeah, moments with songs like Alibi or certain songs where I'm just like, that feels like too much me in there.
It's interesting. Too much.
Like, and this track like Analog, where it's like I can kind of feel like I'm just a part of the music more.
Got it. Part of the tapestry.
Yeah, part of the tapestry. And then in Alibi, it's like I'm gotta like deliver in this other way, where it's just a different sensation.
It is a pretty straight ahead song, you know. That feels new for you on the album. And I was mentioning earlier, like the abundance of guitar also feels new for you.
Yeah.
How did that come together? Like when did you realize that was gonna be drive a lot of the sound?
I guess when Portrait clicked in the way that it did, I was like, okay, I'm going back in time. I'm going back to this like sort of high school self. What was I listening to then? what were the things that fueled that attitude. And I needed to kind of like get in my Radiohead bag, my like System of a Down and Smashing Pumpkins and all of the like kind of 90s grunge rock stuff. And that just made it sense to me. Like, oh, it's gonna be guitar based, and that'll be a sort of like touchstone for the first time. Because I think before then I didn't just made whatever and like let the song demand what instruments to use. And this time I'm like, I want to have a little bit more of a centerpiece here. So rock palette.
So you forced the issue. You're just like, we're going to...
Force the issue. I stood on it.
Yeah, stand on business, 10 toes down. What? I don't even know who played guitar on that.
No, my band. So in my band right now, Wyatt plays guitar. He played all the songs on Portrait, and we had a couple guests like on Alibi. Pat from Turnstile like also played on it, and Braxton from Zulu. So yeah, but Wyatt held down and like helped me like arrange and write a lot of the stuff. And then Julio's our bass player. He's a jazz player. He's like, you know, his style, he's like a music addict. He can't stop playing music, you know, like every day he has a gig, and he always makes the live performances really dynamic. And I'll be like, okay, we have our set list. This is what we're going to do every night, you know, because it feels good to kind of just like lock in and get better at the same thing. And he'll be like, this is boring. We got to do something different every night, you know, like.
So who's on Satisfaction? Is that Wyatt?
Yeah.
That gets pretty hardcore. What did that come at the end, or were you like, we're for sure just gonna like, did you know from the jump that you were going to
what that song would end up like?
Yeah, turn that into like a Slayer song.
I'm trying to remember where that song even, or when I wrote that one. I think it was kind of like having this more like wicked synth flair to it at first. Like I remember making the guitar line that's like na 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 na, and it kind of had more of like a Queen of Wands sort of like prog synth rock feeling to it. Like I started to get real theatrical with like all the synth work and stuff, and I'm like, what would it sound like if it was stripped down and just like much more brutal and just guitar instead of all this like chaotic synth stuff happening.
I feel like the guitar was down bad for a while.
The guitar was down bad, yeah.
I feel like it could use a renaissance. I like heavy music, so but it's just it was such a wild. That wasn't a flavor I was used to from your songs.
Spelling song. I know. Spelling. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think about some Pantheon stuff, and like I would have the impulse to do kind of what I'm doing on Satisfaction or with like other heavier tracks, but it's like I just didn't have the means to. Like Real Fun, I tried to kind of go there and make this like sort of like doom metal guitar, but with the synth. So I would just like emulate what I wanted it to sound like on the Juno and let it live like that. Like I was saying, I feel like got to channel some of those like the first instances of music that felt like they were different than what I was like growing up listening to. It's like my mom listened to a lot of neo soul and R&B, and all of that stuff really still comes through too. Like in the 90s, like Mary J. Blige, like she's one of the people who taught me how to sing. And Brandy and Monica and Tony, and like... You
were like singing other records?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And then, you know, so that was the music I was like raised on and like in my household. And like, but then I think some of the like alt rock stuff I got into, like AFI and like pop punk stuff.
Like that was your dad, yeah?
No, it was like me in like
okay.
a suburb and like going to Borders bookstore and being like raised by Borders bookstore. And like, you know, that I'm speaking to kind of like, hearing something else and feeling like, what is this? Like for hearing like System of a Down for the first time and being like, what is this feeling happening right now? Like I didn't know I had like these sort of sensations inside, but it's speaking to something that was there. And so Portrait of My Heart, kind of like drawing from that alt rock palette that kind of felt like it kind of fueled this new fascination. And interests in like, this is my music too. Like this is stuff that I really connect with, and like
you played some shows with Turnstile, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I had saw Brendan Yates go on some podcast maybe and say how he loves Little Deer. And I was like, what? It made me so happy. And then I think I reached out, like DM'd him or something. I was like, no way. Like, that's so cool that you even listen to Spelling. Like, asked us to play some shows. We played, opened for them in Vegas and like Tucson, I think. And it was so interesting to stand up there in front of their crowd.
In Vegas.
In Vegas. Yeah, there was a lot of confusion.
No surprise.
Yeah, there's a lot of like puzzled looks, and then kind of like saw some people converted.
Those are the best kinds of shows, though. I love those, man. I love when it's like just not like the perfect match for the audience. You know, like that's the most fun.
Yeah, I thrive on that too. Like I like seeing the sort of perplexed crowd, and then some heads nodding and being like, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I love his voice. Like Portrait of My Heart, we're working on doing a remix with him, so like featuring him on one of the tracks is just going to be really great.
After this break, we'll be back with the rest of my conversation with Spelling.
Yeah, you're doing a whole remix, like release of the album, but it's not going to come out at the same time, album, right?
Yeah, it'll just be a few tracks, and like Simon and I are working on those like remix versions. And the last 2 years, I've just put more effort into connecting with other artists like that I really like Brendan, and it to me like that's the biggest like affirmation along the way. Like, oh, these artists that I really love, like they like Spelling, and what can I like gain from that as far as just like creative collaboration and seeing what fusion will come from, because I think it's pretty all over the spectrum. Like the people who are interested in Spelling isn't like, they aren't coming from this like, I'm interested in the music because I like hardcore music, or I like, you know, this style of music, or it's just all over the map. Like,
because I don't know if there's like, I don't know if you could do an algorithmic like if you listen to Spelling, you would also like it's nothing that 100%.
Nothing that 100%. No,
you're like ODB, like there's no father to your style. You know, it's like there's like
sometimes I've like heard my music pop up on things I wouldn't expect it to, like algorithmically. But then I'm like, oh, I do see the crossover there.
Like on what, for instance?
I'm a big fan of Cibo Matto, and I was listening to their album, and then I started shuffling other stuff. And then one of my old songs was like a jump scare. I was like, what? Why does this sound so familiar? It was Dirty Desert Dreams from Maisie Fly.
Wow.
And I was like, what? Why is this playing right now?
Wow.
But yeah, that just sort of, I guess, like synth music.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, you definitely have a unique style. Yeah, an amalgamation of a lot. There's a lot going on in there. So the remix, I guess, or are they just like duets, or like what are the like how much are you changing the songs?
I want to change them more. Like Simon and I, he's fantastic. Also, like we have great chemistry. He worked on the track sometimes on the My Bloody Valentine cover on Portrait of My Heart, and he also did Waterfall and Drain. So he helped me just co-produce those. And then I was like, oh man, this was so cool. And I didn't really connect with him until towards the tail end of the whole process. And I was like, I wish we would have connected way earlier, but it's cool. And now I'm like, yeah, let's definitely do the remixes together. So far we're working on 3. I'm kind of want to like keep this a surprise though, like okay. who the features are.
Got it. You worked with Rob Bizell on the project, who has done a lot of good work for SZA and a bunch of other people. How was that?
It was great. I feel like that was my first experience working with a producer. Everything has been self-produced before, so there was definitely like a sort of an internal struggle at the concept at first, and I knew it would really benefit me and help me grow just to get that opportunity. So I went in, and it feels like 50-50. Like, you don't know if you're gonna vibe with someone, and you can even if you like get along, and like it's like, how is that gonna translate when it comes to like these creative decisions? And so I've come a long way as a person as far as like being able to even be in that scenario and context. Like, what used to would probably just give me so much dread and anxiety. But he's
the loss of control,
and also just having to make decisions with someone, because I think when I'm working on my own in solo capacity, which I usually do producing, it's like I can take as much time as I need, and like, like there isn't this need to communicate actively. Like, it's just an internal communication. So I was like still a little nervous, but he's great. Like, he's made everything feel so casual. I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah, he just had this confidence. And like, I remember him being like, he showed me what he was sort of starting out with, and he's like, and I was already really digging it, and he's like, yeah, don't worry, you're gonna leave here with something you love. Like, just like I was like, okay, confidence. I promise, I guarantee it. No, so he just had like a really good.
But he's great. Like, he knows how to, he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing, and I like that sense of assurance, because I don't want to be in the room with someone who's like, like I want, like, do what you do best and like work from that. And like, that felt really comforting, just to like, things didn't feel awkward at all. And also, it was just awesome to see. That was my only one of few experiences seeing someone just like operate as a producer too. And I'm like, oh, he's doing these things or whatever. And like, I do a lot of this stuff too. Like, it was just like affirming to be like, oh, there isn't a blueprint. There's so much experimentation. There's so much just like fucking around with this like tape reel, and still the like sensations of imposter syndrome come up, where it's like, what I do, is that good enough, or is it like refined enough, or whatever, and techniques. And it's like, we all don't know what we're doing in some capacity. Like, the idea of expertise is so relative, and
especially in art.
Yeah. But yeah, he's brilliant, and like really helped me to like stand on ideas I had and be like, no, like, try it, like actually do it, and would follow through. And we came up with some really fun stuff on portrait, particularly like we were like strumming trying to get real like pet sounds with it, like strumming the piano keys and like doing all these effects on it, and just adding subtle little like stuff that made a big difference. And I came in with this version of the song that was like, once again, like it was like 8 minutes long. And he's like, this is cool, but cut it in half.
Were there like other sections, or they were repetitive?
It's like this preamble. I always do this too. And he's like, it's just my pop mind is kind of saying like, this doesn't happen again anywhere else in the song. I'm like, it was this intro, string line, counter melody. And I thought that was the sickest part of the song. And I was like, there's no way, what? Like, what do you mean cut that? Like, that is the song right there. And he's like, it just doesn't happen ever again. Like, ... And I'm like, oh, like, and I'm like, fine, let's try it. And like that little voice in my head coming up being like, this is a mistake. Like, like working with someone else. Like, I hate this. No. But it was really good for me to kind of just see that happen. Like, oh, the thing that you think is absolutely right sometimes isn't, or that like,
to your point about there's no expertise, like, we can't even be experts about ourselves and what we, it's hard to be objective about ourselves too, anyway,
exactly. To be objective. And I always want to just do it. It was a good reminder, do what it takes to serve the song, and like, let's just at least try it. And I needed that, like an outside brain to just show it to me in a different light. So we had a really good time.
I mean, it's interesting that on this project you both, one, learned how you can work with a producer, but also like you like reified your own sort of abilities as a producer too. Like you kind of you moving forward, do you think you want to self-produce again, or do you want to work with someone else again? Or
there's a sense of like relief and, like I was saying, wanting to just go back to me for this next project and see what comes out of that. I'm really excited to like, I think that experience with Rob was super affirming. And I'm like, I feel like I'm a strong producer. Like I know what I want. And I think that's the most important thing is like knowing essentially what you want and acting on it. Like, because you could sit there all day with, there's so many other versions and options, but ultimately I do know what I want strongly. So I think I'm motivated to kind of just to go there for what's next. It's like self-produce it.
So future for Spelling is let this album come out, do the tour, move to LA, and self-produce the next record.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Cool. Well, glad you'll be around more.
Me too. It's been, I don't know, LA's just everything. It's like everything everyone says about it at the same time, like the good and bad. It's all there. And
that's very true.
Yeah.
Mostly the good.
Mostly good.
Well, congratulations on the new album.
Thank you.
It's really great, and I'm looking forward to spending more time with it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Justin. It's fun talking to you. And
very official.
Very official.
In the episode description, you'll find a link to a playlist of some of our favorite Spelling songs. Be sure to check out youtube.com/Broken Record Podcast to see all of our video interviews. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Broken Record Pod. You can follow us on Twitter at Broken Record. Broken Record is produced and edited by Leah Rose with marketing help from Eric Sandler and Jordan McMillan. Our engineer is Ben Tolliday. Broken Record is a production of Pushkin Industries. And if you like this show, please remember to share, rate, and review us on your podcast app. Our theme music's by Kenny Beats. I'm Justin Richmond.